Good morning and welcome to Free Advice Friday. My name is Carrie Barnum for New Shelves Books, and we're here to talk about publishing, marketing, and the business of being an author. We join here every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and you can join us live going to newshelves.com/FAF, or you can watch the replays over on YouTube, which is simply just New Shelves Books on YouTube. We take questions by email if you can't join us live, and the email for that is info, at newshelves.com. And we're going to go ahead and start off with an emailed question because it's something that I've got a lot of questions about this week. So last week we talked about how Findaway Voices had updated their terms of service, and it was a really big overreach for these terms of service. There was a lot of questionable language and all sorts of things going on. So last week, I was encouraging everyone with Findaway Voices to read the terms and also to reach out to them and let them know that we were not okay with these terms and ask for a fix. Well, so many authors and narrators and people in the business showed up. And what happened is Findaway Voices was overwhelmed with feedback. And within 24 hours, actually that same night, they had sent an email saying, look, we realized that there was some confusion. Not sure how much confusion there was, but there was some confusion. And this is not what we meant. We're going to update our terms. And then within 24 hours of that, they did roll out new terms of service that are much better. Now, as far as the new terms of service, some people are happy and content with them, some people are not. Um, I personally think they're pretty standard now. I feel like it's pretty much standard with what we're seeing on Audible or Kobo or any other places. So I personally think the terms are okay. And I've had a lot of authors ask me, can I stay and Findaway Voices now that they've updated their terms of service? And as always, this is a personal decision for you as the author. However, I do have clients that we are keeping their books in Findaway Voices and Spotify at the moment. I think if anything, this has taught us those terms of service that we don't want to read. We just want to click yes. We do need to read those. We need to keep up with those, but also to keep up with people in the industry who are reading those if we're not personally reading those. And also, it has definitely shown me after something similar happened, I believe it was last February with Findaway Voices. And then this happening here with Findaway Voices, I think it is a sign that we need to pay attention. We need to be reading their updated terms of service, especially where rights and AI and machine learning are involved. So that is my plan personally going forward, is to still continue using Findaway Voices. But to be smart about it, to make sure that we are monitoring and reading those terms of service. Now, there are some authors who feel like Findaway Voices has just stolen their trust. There's no more trust there, and they don't want to stay with Findaway Voices. And those authors have been asking me, what are my options? Well, if you don't want to stay with Findaway Voices, but you still want to be wide, you still want opportunities for like the Chirp books, discount deals, and things like that, you can go through a company called Authors Republic. Authors Republic has similar terms to Findaway, and as far as like how they distribute, I will say that there is some concern or confusion on their terms because their contract does state that Authors Republic requires a 7-year agreement, but then it says that you can get out of the agreement with 60 days notice. So there's kind of some conflicting terms there. I don't think the royalties are quite as good as Findaway was for certain outlets. But a lot of people are going over there and pulling their books from Findaway Voices. So I think that's an opportunity and an option as well. Some people are going with Publish Drive. Publish Drive is a great platform. The thing to keep in mind with Publish Drive is rather than a royalty split where you get part of the royalties and they get part of the royalties, they don't charge any royalty split. You get all of your royalties, but you do pay a fee for your titles to be listed with them every month, whether or not you sell anything. So Publish Drive might be a good option for a publisher that has multiple books that are earning, or for an author that has an established presence and is selling consistently. But if you are a newer author, a newer audiobook author, and your books aren't selling you would have to pay those fees regardless of if you sold any books. So that kind of takes them out of the running in my mind for a lot of indie and self-published authors, at least getting started. But those are kind of the options right now. Of course, you can go to direct to some platforms. You can go to direct. I believe that Google is now accepting human narration. Google Play is accepting human narration audiobooks. However, their terms of service are, in my opinion, a little questionable. I'm not so sure about that. They have a lot of language in there that leads to AI learning, I believe. So keep that in mind. You can go direct to Kobo and some different places as well. And of course, you can always go ACX for Audible and iTunes, which can be exclusive at the 40% royalty rate or non-exclusive at the 25%. So you do have different options. I personally, again, am going to stick with Findaway for most of my clients at the moment, but it's important that you be informed, you know your options, and then as always, choose what's best for you, your publishing model and your goals. And then we go from there. Let's see. So that was one question I had from email. Beth is asking, are there any, well, let me make sure. Hang on. I want to make sure I didn't have any follow-up questions from Findaway Voices. I don't think so. All right, good. Are there any reasons not to not run Facebook or Meta ads in Canada or the UK to test those markets? A good question. There really is no reason why you cannot run ads in other markets. The things that you do want to consider when running ads to multiple markets, so not just the US or the UK, you do want to keep in mind that you either want to have some type of link that will redirect to the site of sale for their country. So for example, I don't want to be sending UK ads to Amazon.com. They don't buy on Amazon.com. They buy on Amazon.co.uk. So it's really important there that if you're going to do that, that you are going to do ads that either have a like a link tree that goes out and puts them in the right market, or you run UK ads only to a UK audience and you're driving them to UK sales sites. I do think also keep in mind that different markets have different marketing what's the word I'm looking for? Trends. So different marketing trends. So sometimes if we look at like the UK and the US market, the language is different in marketing. What will get people to click, the image you're using will change from market to market. So I say, have a ball, go ahead, connect and try ads if it makes sense for you. But I do recommend having ads specific to each country. I think it's easier, and then watch those and see kind of what's happening if you need to adjust your language or if you need to adjust your images and different things like that. I think will help you in the long run. All right, let's see. Reader's Magnet, is it a scam or legit? They want to give me a public posting of my book in lieu of a review of their company. I see hardly any engagement on their website or social media platforms. So Heather, it sounds like Reader's Magnet is like a website or a company, and I have to say I don't personally know their company, so I can't really speak to them. But you've kind of, I think, already answered your question. You've already said, they don't have a lot of stuff on their website. They're not doing much on social media. So I think then the question is, if they are asking, is it a review in exchange for service? In that case, sometimes that's legitimate, sometimes it's a scam, but you need to kind of check it out. They want to give me a public posting. It seems fishy to me. I would say that if it doesn't feel good in your gut, if it doesn't make sense, and I would just be wary. I certainly wouldn't pay them for a public posting of your book unless they've got a massive social media presence or they've got an exclusive list or something like that. I wouldn't see a value in paying them for this service, I guess, at the moment, as far as I know with information. Richard is saying, I've never heard of Findaway. Is that an option rather than Kindle or Smashword? So, Richard, Findaway is specific to audiobooks. So, Findaway Voices is kind of the sister company to Draft Digital for audiobooks, and it's not for Kindle books. So, that's probably why you haven't heard of it, because you haven't yet done an audiobook, even though I think it's a great idea. You may have answered this before, but if an author uses Kobo or Barnes and Noble for print only, does it mess up KDP exclusivity? No. So the only exclusivity that Amazon has is if you're doing a Kindle Unlimited or Kindle Select book, which means that your ebook has to be exclusive to Amazon, but there's no print exclusivity with Amazon. Just keep in mind that you'll have to use your own ISBNs when you're going there. You won't be able to use KDP's like free ISBN if you're planning to upload or publish on other platforms. Oh, Richard, that's right. Redline is an audio, but you have ACX, and I'm pretty sure that one's exclusive. I think we looked into that a while ago. Let's see. Should you only seek reviews before a book is launched, or is it worth it after a book is already published? Pat, this is a great question. So, professional trade reviews you have to submit before a book is launched. Most of the time, they won't even consider a book that's already published. So, trade reviews is prior to launch. However, reader reviews is a lifetime goal. It's never time to stop asking for readers to leave reviews of your book. On Goodreads, on Amazon, on Barnes and Noble, the more reviews you have, the more the algorithms catch on, the more social credibility and trust you have with readers, the better your ads will convert. So keep on pushing for reviews. Do not stop. It's never too late to ask for reviews. And just so you know, on Amazon specifically, there are some key numbers that kind of tilt things. So even Amazon will say it somewhere on their like sales pages that having at least 15 reviews on Amazon will help your ads convert better. So 15 reviews is usually my lowest target goal when starting ads. So 15 reviews is big. Then 20 reviews on Goodreads is when 20 reviews on Goodreads and Amazon is when the Goodreads reviews will show up on Amazon. But you have to have 20 reviews on Amazon as well. So that's important to know. Then at 50 reviews on Amazon is when you're eligible for Amazon email marketing, which means if they think your book would sell well to a customer who's been buying other books, they may feature your book in the email to that customer at no cost to you. They don't tell you, they just send it out there, but it's free marketing. But you have to have at least 50 reviews for that. And then while it's not confirmed, there are lots of industry folks like myself who will tell you that once you hit 100 reviews, you get another algorithm bump. You get it again at 300 and 500. You kind of see these algorithm bumps along the way. Inconsistent reviews, anyway, look good. If someone goes to look at reviews and there's no review since 2021, it's going to look like no one's read your book since 2021. So those consistent reviews help continue that social credibility and also those algorithm bumps. And as far as reviews or ratings, they're all good. Now, of course, we love reviews. We love when people actually write something about a book. But even if it's just a rating, it's still going to help you and bump you. And as far as those numbers, the 15, 20, 50, those numbers, ratings or reviews. It needs to be star ratings is what that goes off of. So it's never too early to start marketing a book, and it's never too late to ask for a review for your book. Okay, Heather's clarifying the reader's magnet. The post is written by me and it's a free offer by them in exchange for my free review. I mean, again, even if the social media post is written by you, but they have no reach and then they want you to review them, time is money. So is it worth your time to write a review for a company that's not going to get you any reach, I think is the question. And only you can answer that. If you've got the time and the more exposure, the better, and you just want to see what happens, then sure. Um, Having an exchange for a review, especially when you don't really have an idea of their service and what they're all like going to provide and how that will benefit you, I think would be difficult. But again, that's a very personal choice there. See, does New Shelves participate in the many book fairs that are held all over? I keep receiving calls and emails from marketing firms that want to display my books. Is it worth the cost? Excuse me, you guys, I didn't feel that one coming. Um, Here's my feeling on fairs and reviews. Yes, New Shelves has been involved in those fairs in the past, not as a presenter or a table or a tent selling books, but to be there to learn, to meet with industry people. And I intend to do that in the future. I'd really love to get overseas to some of the book fairs over there. It won't happen this year, but maybe next year. Got my fingers crossed. Um, as far as is it worth it to pay for someone to feature your book? Here's my feeling on it, and I've said it before. If you pay a company to put your book on their shelves, they're literally just putting your book on their shelves. They may take a picture of their overall setup and they may send it out on social media and things like that. But if you're not there to actually champion your book, to talk about your book, to draw attention to it on the shelves of books that they're presenting, chances of people just stumbling across your book are pretty low. Think of it like if I'm at a library and I have rows and rows and rows of books and I'm just walking through, just kind of looking. I'm not pulling out, I mean, occasionally if something looks really good from the spine, I might pull it out in the back cover, but I'm not actively pursuing books. I might stumble across your book, but it's not going to be as much as if it was forward facing or if you said, oh, hey, my name's Carrie and this is my book and I'd love to chat with you about it. So I think that's one of the things you have to consider is I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I don't think bad things are going to happen because you have your book featured at a festival. However, I would definitely be careful about how much you invest in these programs because if your book is not being featured because you've been in the news or you're selling lots of copies or something like that, or if there is no incentive after the original fee, if it's you pay a fee to this company and they feature your book and that's it, wham, bam, done, they really don't have any motivation to feature your book. Now, if someone is taking your book, like your publisher is taking your book and they are, going there to specifically try to get translations from your book, that's different. They stand to gain in the long term. But I think you have to be very careful about fairs and placements if you're not going to be there. And I also think research the specific fair, the festival, research those and make sure that if you're going to pay for placement in one of those, that it is a good fit. If you are going to the Bologna Book Fair, children's books, okay, that makes sense. If you have an adult novel, don't bother. I don't care who tells you it'll do great or tries to sell you on something. It's not meant for it. If you are looking for translations, then Frankfurt could be a great option because you're going for translations. So I think it's important to research the festival or the fair, know what they're known for, and make sure your book is a good fit if you're going to invest that kind of money in placement. And like I said, I would be very careful about the placement if you are not going to be there. Now, if you're going to be there, if you're going to make it out to the festival, absolutely have your book somewhere. That way you can kind of hang out and chat with people as they come by the tent. But that's a different kind of proposition, I think. After much thought, I think my book is best for self-publishing. How can I tell what level of editing I need? For example, copy editing or proofreading. This is a great question, Jeb. So when editing, and by the way, I'm no editor. If you've ever read my emails, you know I'm not an editor. However, I work with some really fabulous editors, and I've learned the basics from their expertise. So I have a video, it's on YouTube from Erica McIntyre, who's a fabulous editor. I will drop the link because she she explains it so much better than I do, but she calls it a funnel, an editing funnel. And so I'm going to drop the link, and then I will do my best to tell you what the different levels of editing are for. However, don't trust me. Go check out Erica's video later because she's much more fabulous than I am on this topic. So for anyone on the call, I just dropped the YouTube link. But for anyone who's not on the call, just go to youtube.com, search editing on the New Shelves Books channel, and Erica's post will come up. But let me just go over quickly what each of them are. So developmental editing is where you're actually developing the story. You're looking for plot holes. You are looking for things that don't work. Pacing. You're looking for characters that don't work. You're looking for the overall big picture storytelling issues. That's developmental editing. Then you get more to the copy editing. Copy editing is where you're focusing more on the grammar, the spelling. Did you use they or their, there or there? Did you use to or two? Different things. This is the overall grammar polishing of a manuscript. Then you get to line editing, which is literally line by line. Sometimes copy editing and line editing are used interchangeably. A lot of people will do one or the other, but not both. And I think in most cases that's fine. So that's kind of the grammar, the focus. Then after that, the book gets laid out. Proofreading is not done in a Word document. Proofreading is done once the book has been laid out. It's either done with a print book or it's done in a PDF once the book is all laid out, ready for print. And what the proofreader is doing is a proofreader is checking to make sure that there are no typos, that there are no formatting changes. Like you don't suddenly have a blank page or the text didn't change. I saw it in a book I was working on recently where a whole line, like half a line was suddenly cut out of a book. And you could tell, I was like, I think this is an unfinished thought. I've seen it where the font changes all of a sudden. So a proofreader is really just proofing, and this is very helpful. It should be a new set of eyes. I cannot stress enough that having a proofreader that is not you or an editor that's already been working on your book is very, very helpful and valuable. Now, keep in mind, this proofreader is not trying to add and take away commas and they're not grammatically line editing. Your style choice have already been chosen. They're checking for actual typos, words that are misspelled, or errors in the manuscript as far as the layout. Is something wrong there? And that's what a proofreader is doing. So typically a proofreader will be quicker and less expensive than other types of editing, but they still, of course, have to get paid. Some people will have a friend or family member proofread. Again, that's up to you. Just make sure they have the skill to do it. And I'll say it again. New set of eyes. You cannot be your own proofreader. Your editor cannot be your own proofreader because you're too close to the manuscript. You know what it's supposed to say, so you don't necessarily catch those small changes. So that's kind of an overview. Again, definitely check that. Yeah, and there is some, as far as if you want to use a program, I know it's a hot button topic, AI, but if you want to use a program, especially starting off, if you want to use a program for a manuscript critique or for general grammar basics, I can recommend AutoCrit. AutoCrit is a program that will actually like evaluate your manuscript and tell you when you used repetitive words and point out some issues or pacing. It actually can go chapter by chapter. So AutoCrit is one of those things you can use. And then Pro Writing Aid is another one that checks more for grammar. So anywhere along the way, AutoCrit I think is more developmental. In my opinion, it's a little bit more developmental, whereas Pro Writing Aid or Grammarly are the things that are maybe checking more on that copy edit or proofreading reading aspects. It is AutoCrit. AutoCrit. So it's AUTOCRIT. And that's a great program. And you pay a fee for these. So as far as I know, unless their terms of service have changed, these places, you pay for their service. They are not going to use your content for AI training or model training. because you're paying for the license and service. But check the terms. We've learned that. We've already been over that today. So hopefully that helps. Let's see. Another question we had pop up in our emails was from Terry. I'm wondering if you need to assign a new ISBN if you're going to change the price of a paperback book. When setting up an account on Ingram Spark, the agreement that I am required to sign is intimidating. Is there any hidden legalese that would mean I'm signing away some of my rights? Thanks, Terry. So here's the thing. We've already been over, I think it's the day where we just talk about contracts. By the way, not a lawyer, cannot give legal advice. It's recorded, and so we're safe. But I personally have signed the Ingram Spark contract. I'm pretty sure every single one of my clients have signed it as well. So I'm comfortable with that contract. However, it's always important if you have concerns, look over the contract. If you feel the need, take it to a lawyer and have them look it over. However, it is a standard contract that's being used by hundreds, if not thousands, of publishers and authors in the industry, and has been deemed safe for most, if not all of them. So take that for what you will, and of course, make your own choices. As far as your own ISBN question, do you need a new ISBN to change your price? The answer is no, you do not. You can just go ahead and change your price. Do keep in mind that when you're changing your price for your paperback, if you're changing the price, if you have a price specific barcode, meaning you have the price in your barcode, which is recommended for Ingram Spark, since that goes to retail sales, and a lot of book buyers and retailers require that. So you don't have to have a new ISBN, but if you change your price on Ingram Spark and you have a price specific barcode, you do have to update your cover with a new price specific barcode with a new price. So you'll have to do that, but not a whole new ISBN. Let's see. Another question. All right. Mary Lou, I canceled Amazon and Facebook ads for my book after about 6 months because I wasn't even breaking even. But now no one has bought my book in the last 2 months. I also contacted a lot of bookstores and libraries in the tri-state area, but I stopped doing that too. Just got busy with other projects. I don't want to invest a lot of money in advertising again. Any advice? Well, I've said it. I've said it a lot, and I'll say it again. Marketing and advertising takes time, money, or both. So you have to decide what you have and what you're willing to invest in. So you either have money for ads that you can invest in, even if you're not quite breaking even, to keep getting your book out there, or you invest time for things like pitching to events and fairs and festivals or bookstores, because that doesn't necessarily cost any money, but it does take your consistent time and work. So you can go either way. You can, if you've got time but no money, you can go more heavy on social media. You can start creating videos. You can try TikTok. You can try all of those things, but ultimately you have to decide what you're going to invest in your marketing. Now, I will also say it is very hard to invest in book marketing on one book and come out even. Most of the time, this is why authors are always encouraged, like, okay, write one book, now write the next. Where's the next? Because the first book is often considered your loss leader. It's the book that helps you establish yourself as an author. It is the book that helps readers get hooked on you, but it's also the book that you tend to advertise and spend the most money and time on. And then what happens? Well, if you have a loss leader and no other books to make money on, then you just have a loss. So that is why it's so important that you're leading into something else. Now, that could be for a lot of nonfiction authors. Their book is a loss leader, but it leads to their business where they're selling courses or consulting or programs or other things. So it's okay. For authors who are doing fiction, most of the time, their loss leader is their first book. And then what they make money on, or what they hopefully break even on, is books 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is how you actually make a profit. So I think it's one of those things to really consider is, what are you willing and able to invest? And also, what's your long-term goal? Do you just want the book seen? Because I work with authors who say, hey, this is a passion project. I just want people to see it. I want it in as many libraries as possible. I want it to be a resource. And so they do invest money in advertising that they break even on, or sometimes they don't quite break even on, but they feel good about what they're doing. And that's cool. I have authors who want to write and earn a paycheck, and so they write consistently. They put out 1 to 2 books a year, and they feed their audience so that they have a loss leader and books to make a profit on. But they invest in that, both their time and their money. Um, so I think again, what are your resources? What are your goals? And then how are you going to use them? And that'll change for every author. There's no magic formula. There is no right answer. It really does just change and depend on your life and your goals. So take a look at those and then decide from there would be my advice. How and where should you disseminate the info that your price has changed besides Ingram Spark? So if your print book price has changed, you need to change it anywhere that your book is uploaded to for print on demand, if you're using print on demand. So typically that would be KDP and Ingram Spark. And then those places will actually update your pricing everywhere. So if you update your price on KDP, it changes on Amazon. If you update your price on Ingram Spark, they update your price on all the other platforms like barnesandnoble.com, bookshop.org, because that's where all of those places are getting the book from Ingram Spark. They're getting the metadata from Ingram Spark. So that's where they get the information. Yeah, 1 to 2 books a year sounds great. It does. But it's work though. It is consistency. It's putting words on the page. I have some clients who sit down and they have an hour every day that they write. There's a lot of famous authors. Stephen King does it. My mind is just blanking. And they either say, I think it's Stephen King who says he aims for 10 pages. Doesn't matter how many words, 10 pages. There are other authors who have a goal of certain word count or different things like that. But it takes consistency, and it's a practice. It's something you have to do regularly. You have to practice, you have to be consistent, and you have to make time for it. Now, there are some authors who don't want to do that. They don't want to write, and it's not about the profit for them. It's about the creativity and the art. So they write as they're inspired or as they have a story, and that's fine. It's wonderful as long as they realize that if you treat it like a hobby, it will always be a hobby. Authors who are treating it more like a business, who are sitting their butt in the chair and writing consistently, who are getting words, who are writing to market, they're treating it more like a business. So they're getting paid in most cases more like a business. And yes, it's hard. I know it's hard. Believe me, I always say I'm the bride, or I'm the bridesmaid, never the bride. I'm always helping other people publish their books because that's my focus. That's my time right now. And I don't really have to, I honestly do not have time to write my own projects because I'm focused on other things and with younger kids, and it's not the season of life right now. Now, could I possibly make time? I could, but something else would have to give. My kids, my family, my business, and that's my choice at the moment. So I have to be okay with it. And so I think it's one of those things is what does it mean to you, and what do you want with it? And I have some authors who really love doing things like writer sprints, where they have a group where they will get on Zoom or online and they'll say, okay, we're all on camera. We're going to spend the next half hour, whatever it is, writing. No talking, just writing. And they all mute themselves. And then it's accountability because you can see if someone picks up their phone and scrolling social media. And it's kind of like the idea of going to the gym for a class. I'm one of those people who love classes at the gyms because there's a set time. I feel like I know people. And for me, it's accountability. I feel like, oh, I have to go. My friends are there. And some people treat writing sprints like that. So that can be wonderful. You can have a writing partner where you have deadlines and you're swapping manuscripts. And some people just are, some people are so self-motivated and so amazing that they just say, I'm going to get up every morning at 5 a.m. and write for an hour. And God bless those people. I think they're amazing. I think they are um, freaks of nature. However, I love them and admire them. I am not that person. So I think it's just one of those things that you have to find your groove and what works for you. Yeah. And you can always hire a ghostwriter. But then brings us back to the whole time or money concept. You then have to decide if you have the money to hire a ghostwriter. I think it's one of those things. Yes, Richard, that should be it. And I will follow up and check with you on that later today. I'll check up. I changed your Smashword price a couple days ago because it can take them up to 5 days, and I didn't want you to miss the deadline. But I'll follow up with you on that later. All right. We have another emailed question I definitely want to get to, and this one is from Herda. So Herda says, my agent is in the process of selling my next novel. And I'm wondering what you would suggest as some excellent things to do at this point in the process. For example, should I be active on social media? How? Where? How much should I focus on the next novel, which is unsold at this point? And what can you suggest ought to be my focus? Comment on other people's posts. How do I interact? And how do I best do this? Tag people and comment without being creepy. So here is my answer, and this is for all authors who are currently querying, who maybe don't have a published book, but they have agents and things like this. It can be for other authors as well, but specifically there, it is never too early to start marketing your book. In the words of our dear Wendy, who came on and talked with us about social media, the best time to start your marketing is now. So that may look like, yeah, grab yourself a website. You guys know I am a big fan of take your author name or your name, your pen name, whatever it is, take it, brand it everywhere, grab the URL, grab the social media handles, grab it everywhere, make it consistent across the board because you want to do it before you're famous. Obviously, once you're famous, someone else will snap it up and then you have to pay them for it. So grab your social media and your website. Create a very basic website. It does not have to have the star and the sun and the moon. It can simply have your author bio and that you're writing and contact information for your agent. It can be a page that you blog on. If you blog, it doesn't have to have a blog. It can have an about you section. It can have a spot for your novels that are currently being queried. Talk to your agent about what they're comfortable with and what they recommend. Um, have a contact button, have social media links, and yes, start your social media. It's absolutely okay to start using social media as a tool. Now, as for what platforms to be on, we've talked about this some. It really depends on your genre. Who is your reader? Where are they hanging out? If this is spicy romance, then I want you over on TikTok, and Facebook is good for advertising. If you have a fitness or a food book, then absolutely let's start getting you on Instagram. Let's get you on Facebook again for advertising, maybe on Pinterest. If your book is a cozy mystery or thriller, I definitely want you over on Facebook, TikTok, depending on the age demographic of your reader, and let's get you a newsletter started. So absolutely you want to be on social media, but don't spread yourself too thin. Find where your preferred or your potential readers are at and start there. Be consistent. And you don't have a book to talk about that's published. So what do you talk about? Well, you talk about the things that your potential readers will be interested in. I had a call with an author yesterday, fabulous writer, absolutely fabulous writer. And this author was doing a lot on social media, but then they weren't getting the responses that they wanted and they weren't building their author platform. And as I'm looking at everything this author was doing on social media, I realized the author was only sharing writer tips, writer content. So they were building an audience of young, aspiring writers who are not a good fit for their novels and what they write. So I said, hey, we've got to switch our focus. Right now, you're sharing the pieces of your life and being helpful as a writer, but you're not drawing in your reader. So we did this practice where I said, okay, let's create a reader avatar. Let's give them a name. We're going to give this person a name. What age demographic do we think your reader will most likely be for your novels or your upcoming novel? What are their interests? Do they have kids or grandkids? Do they like to cook? Do they have hobbies? What kind of movies do they like? Do they like cooking shows? Do they like Hallmark movies? Do they like thrillers? What kind of pop culture are they into? And we started to kind of develop this avatar of who their ideal reader might be. And I told this author, I said, now I want you to go on social media and I want you to be this avatar's friend. If you were sitting down to coffee with this person, completely made up, but this person that we think would be your ideal reader, what would you talk about? What would you, if this was a friend, what kind of reels would you send them on Instagram? What recipes would you send them? That's what you post. Because what you're doing is, no, you're not marketing your book. What you're doing is you're creating common interest and making friends with your readers who will know you as a friend first, so that when you start talking about your book and getting a book deal, they're going to be excited for you. When you say my book's on pre-order, they're going to want to support you. And when they read your book, they're going to love it. And they're going to then become a fan who keeps reading your books. So I think it's really important that, yes, social media is a tool for advertising. It is a tool for marketing. But if you want to attract your readers, you have to be a friend for your reader. And so I think that's really important on getting those things done and focusing on the reader. And you can do that anytime. You don't even have to talk about your book chat. Start finding comp authors in your genre. Start reading their books and reviewing them. Start being interactive in reader groups for your genre. Look at trends. What are book reviewers and things doing? And yes, part of that is posting your own content, but definitely at this stage, it's also being active on other people's content. That means finding some comp authors that you think are great fit for you. Start following them. Number one, to notice the things they're posting that are getting attention, that working well, so you can emulate them. But number two, start reading and reviewing their books. Start liking and commenting their posts. So when your novel does sell and you're asked, who do you want to blurb for you? You have an author that you have some type of connection to, that you've been supporting, that you now can go ask them for a blurb. They may say no, but they may say, hey, that's the person I've been talking to online for months. That's how you make connections. It's going into reader groups and commenting when they ask for recommendations, and not recommending your own book, recommending books that are current in the genre, that are popular, so that then when you go and say, oh, hey, by the way, I have a new book that's very much like this one, they want to read it. So at this stage in the game, claim your profiles, claim your space online. And yes, start posting. Now, this does not have to be all day, every day, but yes, be consistent and start being a friend. Start finding common ground with the readers that you hope to attract for your upcoming book. And then also from there, start building your email list. Once you're closer, now you can start anytime. You can always build an email list, but it'll be much easier once you actually have a book sold and a book is coming up. You can start collecting emails and things for that. Let's start online. And as far as your next book, I'm not sure if you mean starting on that for writing it and working on it or marketing it, but hopefully it's in the same genre sphere. So this works for both books, that marketing strategy of being a friend. And for writing on it, I often will tell authors, figure out a schedule that works for you for writing versus marketing. Now, marketing, you can do 10 minutes a day. It's awesome. 10 minutes a day adds up. Or you can say, I hate marketing. I'm going to do it on Thursdays. I'm going to have an hour. I'm going to schedule out social media posts, and that's going to be my marketing. And my hour in a day, every other day, is going to be writing. That's fine. Or you can say 10 minutes a day, I'm going to check social media. I'm going to post and respond. And then the other 50 minutes, I'm going to write. I don't care how it works out, but find something that works for you for consistently doing both, because you do have to find a balance to make it really work. And so that's what I'd be concentrating on. That would be my focus. And also keep in mind that as you're building these social media platforms, and as you're creating the community of readers that you're a part of, but also want to support you, this will also help you create a marketing platform that can potentially be very, very, very attractive to agents, publishers, and people in the business. It can actually help you sell your novel. So that's where I would definitely start. Uh, Terry's asking, do you have a class for this where we can take notes and test some of this out, or a one-on-one session where we can discuss these type of social media tactics? I don't have a class, but you're the second person to ask me that in short form. So maybe I'll get started on that one. But I do one-on-one consulting where we look at your online platforms and we kind of look at what you're doing and find suggestions for more. So you can always email info@newshelves.com, and I do consulting for that. So we get on your things. Grishma, I see you. I'll email you today. Excuse me. Uh, uh, thank you so much, Lynn. I hope that you do your own videos because I think videos are fabulous. All right, my friends, we're the end of the hour. I do want to let you know next week it'll be me back here, but on the 8th, on March 8th, we will have Marika Flatt, who is the founder of PR by the Book. She will be coming on our show on Free Advice Friday to share her top publicity tips for 2024. PR specifically, her top tips for how to get featured, how to pitch media, and things like that. So, me next week, come back, ask all your questions, and then March 8th, we will have Marika Flatt on, and I hope you join us for that. Email your questions in early if you have them. I'm saving them all up. Thank you, everybody, for joining me, and have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.